Boo! Hello guys, and welcome back to another cold stream. Sorry about my voice, I'm a bit sick, but as you could tell on the title and the thumbnail, on today's stream we are going to be rating the best decks for the Duelist Cup. What is going to get you the most points, what's going to be the easiest to climb all the way to the second stage, and potentially push through the second stage and actually get what we can. So yeah, that's kind of the idea. Excuse me. And with the new Ishizu stuff, does it change up the meta? I'm going to tell you little, not much. I think it just re-incentivized people to play specific decks that were already very good. But yeah. So let's quickly hop into this. So first things first, we have up the top decks here on MasterDuelMeta.com. You can see Branded Despia is the most popular. I don't think that it will be the most popular in the Duelist Cup. I think people just didn't want to play Splight because they don't like playing the best decks because of DK'd and the way that he interacts specifically with his audience, and this is mostly DK'd's audience, and he doesn't like the best decks, so he always plays like the second best deck. But he always does advertise the best decks when it comes to these metas, so I do expect something like Splight to be the best deck. But we'll get into that in a second. Sorry. But yeah, we're going to be looking at this to kind of see engage and stuff like that. This also is not all of the decks that I would even put onto this list. There's one notable one that we are missing that we will talk about later, but let's just hop right into this with Adamantipator. Adamantipator has been tier 1 for a really long time. You just have to ban Block Dragon. We still have access to Grass. The Ishizu cards make it now even more consistent. The access to additional mills doesn't really matter as much as gaining access to the Shufflers, which I think is more so the problem with the Ishizu cards in particular. Adamantipator is still very strong. It was very strong. It has been very strong. The Millers and the Ishizu cards in particular are not what makes this deck powerful. And in fact, I would even say that the added benefit of the Ishizu cards doesn't really bump up Adamantipator all that much. It does make it stronger, but not by much. What really made this deck powerful is the new Punk stuff that came out. Deer Note specifically is such an insane add to this deck, because now we can go into Chaos Ruler more efficiently, which it mills additional cards, which then gives you potential access into a whole bunch of other stuff, while also being able to potentially also go into something like a zombie vampire to mill more cards and to get another body onto your field while putting up, you know, just more bodies, which is very nice in this deck. So there you go. I think the Punk engine was way more impactful than the Ishizu stuff. However, there's that. So there is a deck that is currently running around called Ishizu Chaos, which this is going to represent the Ishizu cards, because this is kind of what Ishizu is played in. Obviously, you can see that it was played by DK'd, with things like Snow, Ava, the Punk engine, etc., etc. Punk with Adamantipator, never used it before. Trust me, it's insane. Anyway, so yeah, it's just kind of like Thunder Dragons with a whole bunch of other good engines. It's basically Pile. It's the Master Duel equivalent of like the Pile decks back when Halqifibrax and all of that stuff was popular in the TCG, except this time with Grass, because of course we have access to Grass for reasons I don't know why we have it, but the ideal end board is things like the Changying, the Baron, Colossus, and you know, a protection of a Splight Elf, because Splight Elf is a cool balanced Yu-Gi-Oh card, and then also being able to go like Diviner in order to send a one of these guys, or an Entis in order to add additional disruption. It's a pretty decent deck. I haven't seen it too much, but I would say that overall, I mean, because Grass exists and is a card that you are able to utilize, I would say that this is like tier 2. It's good. It's not overpowered in any regard, and I don't think that this is even the best shell for Ishizu. I think Ishizu is better in Dragon Link as well as Adamantipator because of the incidental synergies that it has with that, but I do think that this is the best way to utilize specifically the Ishizu and kind of more highlight the Ishizu cards, because without the Ishizu cards, this deck doesn't exist. I think it's tier 2. I think it's very strong. I think it has competition in the way that it plays. The biggest problem with this, as well as things like Adamantipator and some of the other slower, more combo-centric decks, is the fact that they are pretty slow. And yeah, this one's also pretty crazy. However, the big benefit of that is you're basically getting guaranteed wins going first and some pretty decent wins, or like some pretty okay going second as well because of grass, right? If you draw grass, you just kind of like auto win and stuff like that. I think that this is not as strong as something like the Adamantibator, and there are a lot of other decks that I think are way more powerful than this as well, especially in this format. So next up we have Branded. Branded, I believe, is I'm going to say it's weaker than, well, no, it's probably stronger than Adamantibator for this format. You're able to win a little bit more quickly because your combo doesn't take nearly as long. You're not sitting there comboing for like a really long time, so you can get in more games in theory. But more specifically than that, I do think that the overall consistency of Branded lends itself more to like consistent wins, right? Being able to climb up more efficiently, being able to get those more consistent wins, being able to not rely on whether you're going first or going second, being able to adapt to the meta of the Duelist Cup is one of the things that this deck has over something like Adamantibator. I keep seeing the Ignister deck in these cups. Yeah, we'll talk about that. But Branded is a very, very strong deck, and the better that you are at the game, the better Branded gets, right? Being able to dump snow and then have access to that, as well as just being able to kind of do your plays like normal, and really gain a lot of benefit through just the standard Branded line, means that a lot of like the weaker decks, as well as just even the more meta decks, this has a really good matchup against. I don't really think it loses anything besides maybe Runic Sprite. I think Runic Sprite, it probably does have a pretty bad matchup against, and like I think that's it, because most of the other things, it's like, if it goes first, it has a really good hand. But yeah, obviously, like, if it goes second against, like, Adamantibator, it's just going to auto-win. How am I doing today? I'm alright. You can FTK with the Shizu Chaos by looping Necroface with Snow. Yep. And? Marincess. I'm going to put in tier 3. Marincess is fine. It's a fine deck. I don't really see many issues with it. Being able to set up a boss monster with a searchable imperm, and potentially a Baguska as well is really, really solid. However, it does kind of just lose to itself, like not drawing enough names, or not drawing the right names, or just like not really ending on that powerful of a board. Yes, Baguska is good, but you kind of have to have that on top of your big boss monster play. And if you're just ending on the Aqua Argonaut, it's very easy to deal with. And if you are ending on Aqua Argonaut and the Baguska, you get just absolutely demolished by Lava Golem, which is pretty prevalent due to the Runic Sprite stuff. So I think it's fine in the current metagame. Being able to run a lot of hand traps, though, isn't exactly advantageous in the current meta. You do need a lot more impactful cards, and normally Cyberse engines don't run that impactful of hand traps. And it's just kind of a weaker Cyberse engine. It also has a long combo, so you're going to run low on time. This one doesn't really have that long of a combo. Adagnister, on the other hand, does. However, I would put Adagnister a little bit above, in fact, a tier above, the Marincess stuff, because the Adagnister is the best engine for the Mathmech cards. People will say it's Mathmech. No, it's actually Adagnister. Adagnister is incredibly strong. Being able to OTK super efficiently, going second with the access code and update jammer is a just classic staple of Cyberse engines. But on top of that, we also have access to just an insane boss monster in the Arrival Cyberse, and I don't imagine a lot of people are going to be playing specifically Kaijus. I imagine more of like Lava Golems, because Lava Golem does better specifically with Runic Splite as well as against Runic Splite. So I do imagine Lava Golem to be a little bit more prevalent. So if you're just ending on the big Arrival Cyberse, maybe you're a little bit better. But on top of that, just the insane consistency and advantage that you gain from this deck is really what makes it over the top, right? You basically survive turn 1, which is pretty often capable of happening, right? Especially with like Runic Splite being the expected best deck. Yeah, you're probably going to survive turn 1, and then on turn 2 you just kill him on the crackback, which is very easy. Ending on a Link 4 in Baguska is very unlikely, as most of your Link extenders also lock you into Cyberse or Water. Yeah. Yeah. That's why I'm like, that's not often what you're ending on, but that's like the ideal thing, right? Anyway, Sword Soul. Sword Soul's in a weird position. I still think it's incredible, and I'm still going to put it above Adamancipator, only for the fact that it goes second so much more effectively than either Branded or Adamancipator. The problem is, I think going first, the end boards are pretty lackluster unless you happen to draw, like, exceptionally well for going first, which means that you probably don't have many hand traps. But the big thing is, like, going second, this can break just about anything with its engine pieces, meaning that you basically just get to play your own game and like go Baxia, gain a whole bunch of advantage, spin back cards, and then go into Chaofeng or Chengying and just like OTK super efficiently. It's also its combo is pretty short, so you're not gonna like run low on time, or you're gonna be able to get in more games, which I don't think matters as much in Master Duel as it does in like Duel Links. But all in all, I think that this is a very solid deck. Been using Dynamorphia Punk, got me to level 11 so far. Friend of mine uses Mask of Restrict just for kaijus, and it actually works, yeah. Mathmech! Mathmech is just a worse version of Adagnister. You should probably be playing, like, realistically, if you want to play the best Cyberse engine, it is the Adagnister with the Mathmech stuff. But if you just want to play Mathmech, that's also okay. I think that they're both similarly decent. I think the difference, though, is end boards. Like, ending on a Super Factorial isn't nearly as good as ending on an Arrival Cyberse. And, you know, yeah, you can go, like, Masquerena and Cyberse Wicked and Link Karibo and a Super Factorial, which is pretty good, all things considered. But it's also, again, susceptible to something like a Lava Golem. It's also susceptible to more hand traps, things like Called By, DD Crow, etc. So there's that. Also, I think a lot more people are now running Ghost Spell, which is even worse for the Super Factorial. You just like negate with Ghost Spell, and then you're just kind of oof, right? So, just kind of like incidental hits due to the Ishizu stuff coming out. That makes the Mathmech worse than it was previously. Still a very good deck. All of these. Let me quickly say, Tier 1 are decks that basically should only be able to be beaten by like Tier 1 and 2 decks. Tier 2 decks should be able to beat just about anything as well, but have a harder time beating Tier 1s. Maybe they have a favorable matchup against one of them, but, you know, an unfavorable against a second. Tier 3 should basically not be able to beat either of these efficiently. They can beat Tier 2 pretty effectively. Beating Tier 1 decks, maybe not so much. Rogue is like, you're going to have a hard time no matter what. You better be the better duelist kind of thing. And Tier D is like, don't. Here, we'll even say don't. There you go. I'm using Mathmech with G-Golem, and it works. Yep. Mathmech is crazy with any cyber strategy. Doesn't Mathmech lose to the Shufflers? Oh, that as well. Yeah, you're right. However, I don't know how prominent the Shufflers will be in Duelist Cup. Probably very, but I still think, like, Mathmech is still better than, like, Chaos Ishizu, right? Like, you're just more consistent. You can go second with access code and OTK, like, super efficiently, right? As long as your opponent doesn't have, like, a random Miller. Like, yeah, it has a terrible matchup against the Ishizu cards, but, like, none of these decks use the Ishizu cards. This deck doesn't use the Ishizu. Like, most of the decks on here aren't going to be using the Ishizu stuff. So the Shufflers are Mudora and Keldo, the two Ishizu cards. Let me show you. These two. So what they do is banish themselves from the grave to quick effect shuffle 3 cards from any graveyard into the deck, right? So against like Super Factorial, you just banish an Ishizu card and then shuffle 3 away. You shuffle all 3 of their Super Factorial targets and then they're dead, right? And they don't do anything. So I'm probably going to avoid the Duelist Cup. Do that. Because I don't have the mats to get all that jazz. Well, don't worry. You can play an older deck as well. If you have, like, Flunder, we'll talk about that in a second. You don't need to play any of the new stuff. Trust me. Thunder Dragons. If we're talking more of, like, a pure variant of Thunder Dragons, I'm not going to lie. You better be a better duelist than most people. Just like a pure variant of Thunder is pretty lackluster. And I am going to talk about more of, like, I mean, Thunder Dragons as an engine in like 60 card milling kind of pile decks, very strong. Thunder Dragons as a deck by itself, not at all. It's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, you have to be the better duelist in most instances. Ending on Colossus Pass in this meta, or just in general, isn't strong enough anymore. Like, Imperm deals with that. Titan Colossus Pass is a little bit better, but even that isn't great, right? Because again, a lot of people, if they know how to deal with it, which most of the duelists in Duelist Cup are actually, you know, fairly competent and have a general idea of how decks work. So I would say it's not all that strong. Next up, we have Dark Magician. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put him in don't. Dark Magician is it's not a very strong deck. The new boost that it got was a boost to consistency, which wasn't really necessarily anything that it needed too much. With like additional access to souls, it's kind of good. You can kind of draw more cards. You can see more of your deck, which isn't necessarily anything that it had an issue with previously. Like, kind of did, but not really. However, with that in mind, the power level of the actual boards that it makes are still incredibly basic. You kind of have to end on like a Banish Pass. That's more or less it. Going second, I think it's a little bit better, but even that's not great, because then you actually have to play Dark Magician through interaction, which isn't a good idea. And yes, you could play like a myriad of other things, but to like help you play through those boards like evenly matched or what have you. But honestly, it's still not great. I'm doing well with Trigrade. We'll get there. Yeah, Dark Magician is it's pretty bad. Doesn't Pot of Avarice do the same thing as Yoshizu? Why isn't it as popular? What do you... No, have you read Pot of Avarice? Are you talking Jar of Avarice? Jar of Avarice, 1, is a trap card. 2, doesn't banish itself from the graveyard in order to do that. And 3, is a trap card. And I think it only targets monsters, whereas the Ishizu stuff can target anything. No, maybe Jar of Avarice does target. But the big thing is, like, with the Ishizu stuff, they're naturally... like, they're also bodies on the field sometimes, which is also useful. Like, having a monster be able to do that is way more impactful than having a trap that only is that one instance, right? Whereas, like, with, like, a Shuffler, with Mudora or Keldo, you can also just, like, normal summon it, and now it's a 4 on the field, which is great. Having access to a 4... great, now I can make a Beastweller, now I can make Baguska, now I can make etc, you know, etc, etc. It can be used as a link material, it can be used for synchro summoning, right? It's like, there are so many instances where it's just like, it's just a body. Oh, Jar of Avarice is only your cards anyway? Oh, great, fantastic. Yeah, no, the Shufflers can shuffle your opponent's cards as well. I'll go for Dark Lord Despia and Magician Penned. You. Dragon Maid Dragoonity, why? Why would you do that to yourself? Punk! I'm really bad at Punk, but Punk is really solid. Punk does require you to be a significantly better duelist, but the better that you are, and obviously if you're really wanting to play in the Duelist Cup, you better be a good duelist. But Punk is really, really strong. Being able to go into Sekiguen Punisher pretty consistently, while also having access to things like the 8 engine, like Zombie Vampire, like... what is it? The Amazing Punk Dragon. I forget what it's called. As well as just a myriad of hand traps. You're basically ending on like Sekiguen Punisher, bunch of hand traps, similar to Adagnister. It's not quite as powerful of end boards because you don't have as much like follow up most of the time, but it kind of does the same thing, while also ending on like, you know, going second. You kind of have similar access to OTK lines with your Amazing Dragon. So yeah, the Punk, it's not just the Punk engine, but like pure Punk is like incredible. Being able to, it's kind of similar to old Zodiac where it's like, it's like a boss monster and 4 hand traps, and you're just like, all right, don't die to my 4 hand traps, you know, don't die to Maxi, Ash, Imperm, Veiler, while I also have a Sekiguen Punisher that you have to deal with, and my life points are lower, and therefore I always win combat, yada yada. Mathmech was never tier 1. Sorry to break your... Well, okay, it was tier 1, but it's not tier 1. Spiral. The Shufflers do make it more annoying, but I still think it's tier 2. Spiral just like auto wins going first a lot of times, even against most hand traps. The biggest problem is going second, but like when half the time you're going first, half the time you're going second. Yeah. Punk Zombie is really good. Yep. Yeah, Spiral. It's just an auto win deck going first, similar to Adamantipator. And for the Duelist Cup, yeah, they're just really, really strong. Dragon Link. Dragon Link is a, well, okay, let's be honest with ourselves. We'll put him in tier 2. Dragon Link is just a very strong deck that never really lost any power. The Punk stuff added a whole lot of consistency to their deck, being able to gain access to the Chaos Ruler more efficiently is incredible. Being able to consistently make like pretty decent end boards with like Borland, Borload, Savage is pretty nice. You can also add in the Grass as well as the Thunder Dragon engine to end on like Colossus on top of that, which is a pretty incredible end board. And then with that, you can also add in like the Shufflers specifically in order to, you know, shuffle cards from your opponent's deck. You also have access to just a whole bunch of other follow-up as well. So yeah, just overall very, very strong. Probably some of the better end boards. Like Borland by itself is such a house that a lot of decks in the meta don't really have a clean out to it. Most decks have an out, but it's not a very clean out, right? Because like it's a unresponsive negate, which is crazy. So there you go. What's better, 60 or 40 card Dragon Link? 60. Gaining access to the Thunder Dragon engine, the Adventure engine, the Grass for like snow and stuff like that is just insane advantage for Dragon Link. There's so much that you can gain off of the 60 card version, and Dragon Link never really had consistency issues, so having like 40 cards isn't necessary as much. Whereas like with Spiral, you do kind of need. I'm gonna move Spiral down. With Spiral, you kind of do need like to see specific cards, and it does have a bit of consistency issues. Whereas like Dragon Link just doesn't have that nearly as much. Here's another deck that is probably heavily slept on, especially for a best of one, play as many games as possible format. Drytron. Drytron just auto wins. It's an auto win deck that even has a decent time playing through interaction. But the biggest thing is like this deck with Ava, with Ben 10 is still absolutely insane. Again, just an auto win deck. Don't really have anything to say. Flunder. Flunder is probably one of the best decks for a best of one, no side deck, going fast, makes me feel alive kind of format. Holy crap, this deck is insane. One, it has incredible matchup against specifically Splight, which is expected to be one of the best decks, as well as it has incredible matchups against a lot of the other top decks, Adamantipator, etc., right? Two, it has the ability to both go first and go second. Its going second is significantly weaker, but being able to play on the opponent's turn is something unique to this deck, as well as like no, just this one right now. Basically, no other deck really plays on the opponent's turn. They maybe add some interactions, but most of them don't really play on the opponent's turn, whereas Flunder has the ability to kind of see what the opponent's doing and then deal with it. And three, it's incredibly simple. It's a deck that you can play mindlessly for hours and do incredibly well. Oh, also, yeah, La Cucaracha has no effect on this. You can also play Dimension Shifter, which absolutely hoses a lot of the grass decks that are running around. This deck is absolutely insane for the Duelist Cup. It's a pick that I expect not many people would pick up and understand and play, but I do expect it to do very well, and I expect you to actually do very well with it. Again, one of the biggest benefits to this specifically is you can mindlessly play it and just win. You don't really have to think too much, whereas a lot of the other decks at the top, specifically things that like Branded and Adamantipator, require you to actually really commit and think about all of your plays. Flunder doesn't. You just pick it up, you play, you win, you're good. Endymion has a similar issue to the other decks, except that it is also a pendulum deck, which no one likes. However, with the popularity of the Ishizu stuff, I do expect it to be a little bit better. This deck can end on some pretty decent boards. I think the biggest problem with this deck now is that a single Dark Ruler No More, which a lot more people are actually playing Dark Ruler No More in the main deck, a single Dark Ruler just hoses this entire deck. Like, you cannot play the game if they drop Dark Ruler. Same with, like, Lava Golem, right? A Lava Golem just kind of defeats this deck entirely. So lots of things like that. It does play through hand traps fairly decent. And you know what? The more that I talk about this, this is just like, it's just bad. It's just not that great of a deck. I do think that it has a lot going for it in terms of like being able to end on a pretty decent board, being able to consistently play through a lot of various different things. But the biggest problem is like its follow-up, if its board is broken, it tends to be pretty weak. Like, yeah, you could pen summon, but most of the time you're pen summoning like what, 1? But then on top of that, it's like the end boards aren't anything that people aren't prepared for, right? With Splight being as prevalent as it is, as well as a lot of the other decks that are running around, like Adamant Spader and such, that are just running these like big, heavy monster effect interactive boards. Yeah, you kind of falling into that same rabbit hole, but worse, isn't exactly great. Flutter makes your opponent go -1 from XC. True. Splight. If we're talking more of like pure Splight, I still think it's probably one of the best decks. Being able to run like a million hand traps and then also just end on a Splight board is pretty significant. You also have access to like the Toad engine or the Frog engine and the Nimble engine and stuff like that to more consistently get into your rank 2s, your link 2s, etc. Elf is such an incredible powerhouse of a card. It literally boosts tier to like tier 0 status. It's like legitimate. Yeah, Splight is best deck. I don't need to explain myself much further there. Runic is pretty bad. If we're talking pure Runic, it is probably at the weakest state that it's been in a while. Its consistency has been nerfed, which doesn't really matter too much, but the biggest problem is that a lot of people like are prepared now for floodgates, and like the floodgates themselves aren't really all that powerful at the moment. They're still good. You're still going to just win games, but you're not going to as consistently see access to your floodgates, and you're also not going to see access to your advantage engine, which just makes it, you know, a little bit more or a little bit less powerful. And the power level of the game has just kind of gone up a bunch, and it's kind of pushed Runic out. A control strategy in a higher power format tends to do worse unless the power level of the control strategy is also insane. Labyrinth has a lot of issues, most notably actually controlling the duel against like high advantage engines, which a lot of the top decks, specifically all of tier 1, is like high advantage engines. And yeah, Labyrinth just doesn't really have a way to interact effectively with that. I still think that it is very strong and has a lot of options available to it. Being able to interact specifically with traps instead of monster effects does give it an advantage in this format. However, again, I don't expect it to do insane, but I do expect 1 or 2 to show up in like top 100. Mostly due to waifu syndrome. The new level 2 water rock monster helps Adamant Spader makes plays. Yes, I know. It's crazy. Yeah, I've played it. It's actually insane. Exosister is a deck that a lot of people are very heavily coping on. It is like... We'll put it here. The biggest issue... okay, so Exosister is good because it can play Dimension Shifter, which means that sometimes you just auto-win, your opponent activates Grass, you activate Shifter, they lose the game. Fantastic. However, the biggest issue is that a lot of the hand traps that most people are running, Ash, Mexi, you know, etc., are just hose this deck as well, right? And with the prevalence of decks that aren't specifically Ishizu stuff, the deck also doesn't really interact all that well with them, right? Banishes aren't exactly the most impactful in the current game because of, you know, a lot of the decks at the top don't really care too much because they have a lot of like quick effects or ways to deal with it, etc. And the biggest thing with this is that going second with Exosister is very problematic. Being able to play into Disruption is difficult, right? Because you're mostly setting traps in order to actually set up your interactions, which means going first is almost a necessity unless you draw Dimension Shifter, in which case, yeah, that's just kind of like, it just happens. But by the way, just Dragon Meteor fusions aren't banned in this event. Okay, and Anyway, Exo Sister isn't as good as I think a lot of people are making it out to be. It's good, not as good though. Phantom Knights with the Ishizu stuff. I swear Phantom Knight players just really are coping with the stuff that they are playing. This is just kind of another pile deck of cards that work with the Ishizu stuff. However, it's pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. Having access to the shufflers can be nice. Having access to the millers can be nice. But most of the time, this deck isn't ending on like incredible boards. You're ending on like 2 Fog Blades, right? It's like your end boards are pretty lackluster, and you really lose heavily to like almost any interaction. Ghost Spell, Ash Blossom, Effect Veiler, Imphip, Nib, just like everything hoses this deck. And however, its end boards can be pretty solid, and with like DPE, the Adventure Engine potentially in there as well, it can do fairly decent. But are Exo Sisters fun to play? No. Sky Striker. Okay, people are really holding on to Sky Striker, thinking that it's good. With the shufflers, it becomes even worse, but not that much worse. All in all, the Sky Strikers are fine, I'm gonna say. They're not insane. They're just okay. We'll put them in Rogue. They're not something where it's like don't play them, but yeah, they're definitely weaker than they were. You still have Engage, where you can just like blow out your opponent and like OTK them with like Linkage, Engage, etc., etc. But the problem is the effects that they do require you to have spells engrave, which can be very easily interacted with things like, you know, even Exo Sister has a problem can interact with that favorably with like anytime you move something from the graveyard, they're gaining advantage kind of thing. But we also have a bunch of shufflers as well. Just, yeah, I don't know. Not insane. Just people coping on it. What variant of Drytron do we mean here? Herald Drytron. The version of Drytron. The only version. The auto-win button. Do you still play Spiritual Beasts? Oh, Ritual Beasts? Yeah. Just pointing out, I was going to have a reason to ban them from every event. Also, it's a very powerful theme. Oh, this event is specifically more competitive, so that's why. Dinomorphia, don't play this one. It's just a bad deck. There are so many ways to out this. There are so many random effects that just burn you for no reason, or like, you know, going second is a death sentence in this metagame. But more specifically, it's just like, you don't gain enough advantage off of the control strategy that this is, especially with how low of attack points a lot of the monsters that are currently at the top of the metagame have. Rexstrom just kind of doesn't do enough. I'm on 1 for 12, exactly. This is probably the best deck. Runic Splight. Insane advantage engine. Being able to just consistently win over and over. Going first, going second. You could basically play hand traps with your Runic engine. With where you also generate additional advantage. Yeah, best deck. There you go. Moving on. Dragon Link without the Ishizu stuff is still insane. Just genuinely very strong. I do think the Ishizu stuff helps specifically with the shufflers, but if you're still playing just regular Dragon Link, I still think it's very strong. Salad is fine. We'll put it at the top of Rogue. Salad also does kind of hurt to the shufflers, but not that bad. The Millers kind of help it as well, which is kind of funny. But all in all, I don't think this deck's doing anything crazy. It's kind of bad Cybers. Like, it's worse than Marin says because it's not ending on, like... It's not consistently ending on, like, a big boss monster that's difficult to deal with. But you could also end on, like, Baguska occasionally. And, like, a few set cards is pretty nice, but... I think the interactions just aren't as much. And not being able to search, like, an Imperm is pretty meh. Just wondering why Labyrinth isn't there? What do you mean? Labyrinth is right here. Just play Ignister? Yeah, exactly. The Ignister stuff is just the better Cybers engine. It's the best one, by far. Heroes! Don't play Heroes. Heroes are really bad. They still are. Heroes don't really do much. They got some new support adding, like... I don't even know what they got from the new support, but I've seen a whole bunch of people playing it, and it's very lackluster in what I've seen. Yeah, this deck just... it doesn't really do much. like, you either just hard win with things like Macrocosmos and Skill Drain on your field, but, like, if you don't get the ideal setup, it's just really bad. I guess less people are playing Nib, but other than that, it's still not great. You just have to be, like, a significantly better player than your opponent, or just have a significantly better hand than your opponent in order to actually play the game. Most players can play through whatever you end up making, because most of the time, if you're not ending on specifically Skill Drain, DPE, and a Macrocosmos, you just kind of lose the game. So, more RTA tools that are terrible. Rika is weird, because realistically, I expect this deck to be pretty good and, like, powerful, but you do have to be significantly better at the game than your opponent. So I'm going to put it in Rogue tier. This deck is rather difficult to play and play effectively, because the lines that you have to go for is pretty difficult, and I think a lot more people would actually be prepared for how this deck specifically interacts with, like, tributing your monsters for cost. So I don't expect it to be insane, but I do expect it where, like, if you come up against a Rika player and they are actually good at the game, you're just gonna lose. Like, it's one of those things where if you don't know exactly how to interact, you probably just lose. I hope they're not a YCS champion, and move on with your life. However, I'm still gonna put them in, like, Rogue. Tri-Brigade Splight. So it's a Splight variant. I do expect it. I'm actually going to put this pretty low. The Tri-Brigade variant is pretty lackluster in terms of a top-tier deck. It doesn't auto-win in any regard, but it does have some pretty powerful plays. Being able to go into, like, Revolt with, like, a full Splight board is pretty insane, while also ending on, like, Dragon Lords and the like. And Splight Elf just insanely just helps out immensely with the Tri-Brigade half of the engine. So there's that. However, notably, with this, there is no Tri-Brigade Lyralisk that is currently on this list, which is a shame, because honestly, Tri-Brigade Lyralisk is probably the best version of Tri-Brigade, well, okay, second best version of Tri-Brigade at the moment, and is honestly, like, tier 2. Like, I would put it, like, above Dragon Link, below Mathmech. And the reason for that is because right now in the meta, going first is so influential, but so many decks just have auto wins going first. And very few decks have great access to, like, going second options. Like, Flunder does, Splight does, and Sword Soul does. Most other decks aren't really going to be able to beat a end board of the Tri-Brigade Lyralisk stuff. The biggest issue is, like, Dark Ruler, but everyone kind of has to deal with that. But yeah, as you can see, very few people are currently playing Tri-Brigade Lyralisk, even though it's one of the best decks. I would put it up here. Sad to see that it's not on this list, but yeah, Lyralisk Tri-Brigade is currently still insane. I think people just got sick of it and don't play it. Is Tenyi good? Pure Tenyi? Not so much. I put it in, like, don't. But, Tenyi Sword Soul? Yeah. I've been meaning to go back to Bird Up. It's been a while. Bird Up is still very strong. It's still one of the best decks of the format. Live Twin Splight is... I'm going to put it above the Tri-Brigade version. The reason for this is because it just auto-wins going first. Sometimes being able to go into the Scythe Lock and just, like, stop your opponent from playing the game is a fair and balanced mechanic within Yu-Gi-Oh! The biggest problem is going second. I think going second, it has a much weaker time than something like Runic Splight or, like, Branded or Sword Soul or what have you. But yeah, going first, Scythe Lock is pretty good. However... if your opponent has something like Called By, the Scythe Lock doesn't really work. So, there's that. Then we have the Zombie Shizu. I'm going to put them at the top of tier 3. I don't think that they're all that good. Grass is very strong, and it's kind of similar to the Chaos. Actually, I'm going to put them down a bit. They're definitely not better than, like, Pure Runic. It's kind of similar in nature to just, like, a regular Floodgate variant of decks. But right now, not anything... Like, not much actually cares about their things being, like, the right type. Or I should say, less things care about their monsters being the right type. Because Splight specifically only cares about the level, rank, and link rating. So, like, having them be zombies doesn't matter nearly as much. And the Shufflers don't really hurt Spite nearly as much. And I'm expecting Spite to be, like, the deck that you have to watch out for. And because of that, I do expect this to be not as good. It does hit a lot of the other things, like the Flunder, like the Adamancipator, like Tri-Brigade. But in all honesty, I don't expect those to show up all that often. So, no Panda Magicians. They weren't on this list. I'd probably put them next to the Endymion. Sky Strikers? What do you mean? They're right here. This just benefits you when you're playing non-zombies. Yeah. Rika should be way higher. I've already maxed out in the Duelist Cup. Yeah, cool. What about Inspector Border deck? And anti-meta? Those are anti-meta decks. I wouldn't necessarily say they're good. I'd put them down here. Does what? Dark Magician combination? I have no idea what that card is. As much as I love Sky Strikers, it's just power craps, and then deck's Engage should still not be a 2. Even though Engage should still not be a 2. True. Engage should be banned, in all honesty. I hate that card. I think it's terrible. I think it's poorly designed. But, you just put it to 1, please. Give, like, all of the Sky Striker cards back. Just put Engage to 1. That's the only card that I have a problem with. And even then, I still think Sky Striker would be, like here at most. Like, it's not that good. Engage makes me sad. It does me as well. Does anyone else have any other questions? Also, who was it? Who was saying... Oh, Astrology Games. The reason I put Rika so low, I think it is very powerful, but you have to be very good at the game for it to be good. That's the biggest problem. That's why it's so low. I keep trying to make Dragon Link work, but I keep milling the key starters. Like the one of the rocket cards. You shouldn't have to rely on the rocket cards most of the time. If I was to build a deck right now, which would you recommend? If you were to build a deck right now, I would recommend Splite. Splite will be good for a long time. If you've already built Splite, and also Splite has like a million variants and one of them will probably appeal to you. If you've already built that one, Flunder or Branded. One of those two. Those two are always very good. Is Necro Valley Control worth looking at? No. Nope. You could play it in like Exosister. You could play like Exosister with Necro Valley support. But honestly, no, it's not really that worth it. Oh, one thing I didn't mention was AFD versions of decks. Like ABC, AFD and stuff like that. Or Ancient Fairy Dragon decks. With like, it's basically like field spell control. That deck is honestly very, very heavily slept on. I think no one is really thinking about that. And I do think that that deck would be very impactful. Let's see if we can actually find an AFD deck list. Ancient Fairy Dragon. So right now it's currently only used in Spiral, but there's like a, let me see, let me look up the deck. Because that deck is crazy. There are a few decks that are just insane that no one is playing. Okay. Oh, not this one. Sorry, wrong one. Back to MBT. Sky belongs to Copium tier? True. This one. If you don't know, Ancient Fairy Dragon is absolutely broken, and I would highly recommend you play it if you can, or if you want to. But MBT Yu-Gi-Oh! Made a perfect video about Ancient Fairy Dragon and why it is actually just broken right now. So, there you go. Let's see if we can find his deck list. Okay, so here's his Master Duel deck list. And it's Ancient Fairy Dragon with Therion, Adventure, Destrudo, shenanigans. So basically the idea is you end on like ABC, a Therion, and like an Apollosa. Going through like the Galaxy Tomahawk in order to just gain massive advantage, get a whole bunch of link materials. You can also end on like Splight pointing to the Appaloosa, or Splight Alpha pointing to the Appaloosa, and then with like ABC, the Therion, etc. It's just insane. And you do this through the massive advantage you get out of the field spells. So you can go like Dragon Ravine, pitch the Destrudo. You can go into the Union Hanger to do your full ABC line, which also generates you a whole bunch of other cards on the field in order to go into this guy as well. And basically the idea is like with AFD, with the single Destrudo, you are able to go into an AFD, and then AFD kind of does the full combo. What about Hand Loop Virtual World? I'd probably put it at like tier 3. Probably above Exo Sister. I think right now the Virtual World cards are kind of slept on as well. Definitely very strong. Not as strong as things like Spiral or hell even Marincess, but still very, very good. Ban Tomahawk, please. Yes. Dude, Tomahawk is insane. Why is this card legal? Anyway. So yeah. Is there anything else? Crystal Beast is pretty ass, I'm not gonna lie. Ultigeist is pretty ass. Blue Eyes is pretty ass. Despia Shaddoll. Oh, Shaddoll. I think Shaddoll, with like a 60 card Shaddoll Despia kind of variant of the deck, probably like around Spiral, probably above the Zombie World stuff. But like Shaddoll. Shaddoll up here. Power Tool Braver is OP. Indeed it is. It's kind of crazy. You can run Power Tool Braver in Adamantimator and get like an additional hand rip on certain hands. It's kind of crazy. Statham with the 99 cents. Hello, Statham. How you doing? Generic rank 7 that summons 3+ tokens. What could possibly go wrong? True. Despia Dark Lord. Let's be honest with ourselves. Don't. Zodiac. Oh, Zodiac is a deck that, check out. No. I will never watch a Decade video, thank you. What was I talking about? Eldritch was a deck that's just not on here for some reason. Eldritch is like top of tier 2. Eldritch is really, really strong, being able to actually utilize the floodgates very effectively, while also gaining access to like 60 card variants very well. And just like, you just play like 60 card pile Eldritch and it's actually insane. What up, Gambler? How you doing? What deck am I using for the Duelist Cup? I'm not playing the Duelist Cup. Fuck that game. No, I'll probably use, like, Flunder, Splight, etc. I'll play a bunch. Tri Brigade. What was it that I was thinking of? What was I talking about? Orcus is probably don't. Dinos is pretty good. Dinos is, like, tier 3, tier 2-ish. Probably, like, top of tier 3 above Runic. Yeah, we hit all of these, right? Yeah. Okay. What was it? Branded number 1 with 51 results. Yeah, but that's also because, like, Splight has been split between Runic Sprite, Live Twin Splight, and, Tri Brigade Splight. What about Prank Kids? There's a Prank Kid Sprite version that was like running around for a little. Seems pretty good. Prank Kids just kind of, they're not really ending on that good of boards, because right now a lot of the decks that are currently at the top have either recursive boards or boards that can be made like pretty resiliently. So ending on like a Raigeki or two, it just kind of isn't enough. Blue Eyes Ashizu is the way to go, but even then it's lol. True. I've yet to run into a Blue Eyes deck in the event. Seems like the other decks are allowed. No one is playing Blue Eyes. Yes. No, it's because it's a competitive event. What was it? Oh, Zodiac. I wanted to talk about Zodiac. Zodiac is still just an insane deck. You can play like a Zodiac Eldritch, you can play like a Zodiac Pure, you can play like a million hand trap Zodiac, you can play, like I've seen a lot of Zodiac players currently in the TCG playing, like 24 hand traps. And just like, your opponent isn't allowed to play the game. Like, they just can't play the game, and then you draw a single Zodiac and you just make Zeus. Now, in Master Duel, that's significantly worse, because we don't have access to multiple Zeus. So we can't go, like, Zeus into Zeus, or something like that. But it's still absolutely insane, right? You just generate so much advantage off of your Zodiacs. However, even with that being said, I'd still put them, like, below Spiral. Blue Eyes is stuck in Duel level 3 and below. They literally can't be stuck there, because even if you lose, you go to Duel level 4. They're stuck in Duel level 4. Imagine not seeing Blue Eyes in the competitive event. Crazy. They can't beat Benkei OTK. True. The Armed Dragon deck, for Duelist Cup specifically, bad. Don't play it. Not worth it. It'll just be a headache. Yeah, just not really worth it. Gem Knight FTK is the best deck in KC Cup. In KC Cup? Like in Duel Links right now? Got to 18 with Runic Ishizu Milling Start? Yeah. You can get to any... You can get to 20 with any deck. It's pretty easy to get to 20. Or to get maxed out. It's, again, a matter of time. I was lied to. I think you meant the Duelist Cup, but... It's a joke. You got me. Madolce, I'm gonna say it. It's probably don't play Madolce. Same with Trap Trick. Just don't play Trap Trick. Just, it's not a thing you should do. Anything else? Nope, I think that's it. That's it for the tier list. Lots of tier 1, but I think a lot of these are kind of like just the same variants, more or less. Just like various different styles of the same deck. However, I do think that there's like a clear tier 1, tier 2. Right. At least for this event. I think normally Flunder isn't this good, but like Flunder just wins very effectively. Like if you were going into a tournament, I wouldn't suggest Flunder. I still think Flunder's good, but like it wouldn't be tier 1. But going into this event, yeah, Flunder's crazy. Suship 1/3 at a regional. Okay, and most duels are coming down to the flip. Interesting. Blue Eyes is a little overrated, but still fairly powerful. How so? As in, like, here, it's overrated? Here's the thing. Branded didn't really receive many nerfs, and it's still, like, the second best deck behind Splight variants. The problem is, the Splight variants are almost like a tier above. Like, realistically, you could shift everything down a tier, except for these two, and just leave these two above. At, like, tier 0.5. Because these two I do expect to be just everywhere. Right, just the Splight variants. But I don't think that they're, like, that far above to make a whole nother tier. So, yeah, it's just like, this is the best deck, definitively easy, moving on. This is the second best deck. DM and Dinomorphia are not even rogue decks. Nope, not in this event. Is there an optimal way to fit Ishizu in branded Despia? No, don't. Not worth it. Sorry, a minute overall, I wasn't referring to your list. Oh, I do think branded is a bit overrated. I do think a lot of people are playing branded instead of Splight because they think that it's more of like a pride thing. They're like, I don't want to play Sprite because it's the best deck. So instead they're playing branded, the second best deck. Pretty simple. I don't think branded's as dominant as it appears here. It's not the best deck. It's not close. It's just less people want to play the other versions. Salamangreat is more of a don't than rogue. No. Why hero and don't? Because heroes are really bad right now. Especially in like more competitive events where people are going to actually be interacting with you on the first turn, it's way more problematic. Heroes is competitive. No, it's not. Thank you. I personally hate meta, but I get it. People want to win. Yeah. I mean, this is for the Duelist Cup for people who want to win. If you want to win, these are the decks, right? Not only is Dolce hilariously expensive, but it's not... not at least decent without the Vernisylphs. True. I can't wait to get the Vernisylphs. They're going to be crazy. I mean, why Heroes is not competitive? Because they lose to interactions pretty heavily, but more importantly, going second with them is pretty problematic, right? Because most players, they build for going first, which is, I think, a mistake for most hero players. But even if you were to build for going second, it's still problematic, and you can't really play through many interactions. But then on top of that, like, heroes do have a pretty lackluster build if they end up getting interacted with, like, once or twice. Like, most of the time, they just kind of end on, like, either Dark Law or like a DPE, but you kind of need to set up like your Plasma, your DPE, and your Dark Law. But even then, with Dark Ruler being even more prevalent, it's just not as good. And yeah, I just don't think it really does much. Like, even its good end boards aren't that great. Hero spread is god tier. There you go. Brandon don't play Patchwork Engine in new versions. I know, it's kind of weird. What do I think about the new structure deck? It's literally useless. It's like one of the worst structure decks out there. It's so bad. Like, if we go to this, and we go to structure deck, there is like 2 cards in here that are even kind of worth it. And it's Chaos Space and BLS. The BLS link. And that's it. And the thing is, this is an SR, so it's not even really worth buying this to get this. As for the rest of this, it's all useless, it's all bad, it's not even that good. I don't want to get into Duelist Cup? Yeah, basically. Jisoo Thunder Dragon Necroface pile is pretty good in my opinion. That's what we currently have at tier 2. I know what you're talking about. It's right here. The BLS link isn't even great. Yep. They could have gave him Levianeer too. That would have been good. But that would have made it actually a good structure deck, and we have to have some bad ones. Will Dynamorphia change anything for the deck, or will it still be subpar? Dynamorphia will still be subpar. I don't think we're, like, if you add anything, it's going to be all that great. After giving the Godly Magician structure deck, they had to offer us a crappy one to balance it out. Exactly. The Dark Magician structure deck was really good value, and this one wasn't. Okay. I have some gems. I have a few gems. So what we're going to do is we're going to open some packs so that I can get the Ishizu stuff. Sound like a plan? Sounds like a plan. I left the shop. Whoops. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. From another state. Interesting. We're going to open Strong Will. Why? Because I'm a psychopath. And I want the Ishizu cards. You gotta get the Ishizu cards. Keldo, Kelbeck, etc. Gambling time. One of the most expensive mid-tier decks. Yes. G-Golem. Gemini Quartz, okay. I'm gonna need some food to get through this awful pack opening. We've been trying to reach you about your car's extended warranty. Why is that the scam that they choose? I'm like, huh? My car's extended. I don't even have a car. Like, I do not personally own a car. Rose Diamond. Nice. The pull rates for this one suck. Well, that's because most of the cards in here suck. I hope I don't get a Royal Finish Keldo. I hope none of my cards are shiny. Unless I'm going to decraft them. I just crafted the Ishizu from this pack. This pack is not worth going into, aside from Rishizu. Yep. But I also need crafting points for that, so. My card is used. My card is used. What warranty? Exactly. Gem Knight FTK it is. Yeah, realistically, I should be opening, like, another pack. Instead of this one. Like, I'd almost be better off just opening, like, master packs. Because then I could maybe get, like, then I could get, I don't know, something good. Get, like, hand traps or what have you. Man, it really feels bad to open these. Doesn't it? I just want the Ishizu cards. Lefson Shadal Despia Ishizu. Well, that's what I want. That's why I want the Ishizu cards. Exchange the Spirit? Shadal. No, not two. No, we only need the one. Sick. Ah, I can only run two. No. Comedy, that guy, that one, sure. Do I run the branded stuff? Do I just run hand traps? What are my thoughts on Infernity? Infernity is cool, but pretty bad. You could probably give them all of their cards back and they'd be fine. At least in Master Duel. Yeah, they're just kind of like another inconsistent combo deck that ends on unbreakable boards, but dies to one interaction. Which there's like 7 of those. Okay, probably more. Pulled a Royal Deer Note. Think I should invest into the deck or dust for something else. Punk is pretty good. I'd say it's probably worth it. 60 card pile, pretty much. Super Poly, true. Definitely need Snow. Maxi, Gamma, Veiler. Do we run Gamma? Maybe not. Nib. Nibiruman. Prosby. Prosby's not bad. Probably don't want this many just like dead cards. Do I play Ava? Or not Ava, Herald? Maybe. Maybe, probably, honestly. Because we are playing a lot of fairies. Oh, then we probably can take out Gamma. If we're playing Herald. Herald and Gamma kind of do the same thing. Although Gamma, it's very good. Ba, 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 da, ba, da, ba, da. I could play Diviner. Is Diviner worth it? Yeah, probably not. Play the 3rd Shadal Fusion. Yeah. Yeah! I don't know what to put. What else to put in the extra? I only have the 1 app alone. Is that worth it? Oh, I should probably put like this guy. Shadal Hollow. Called by. Ah, you're right. Forgot about that. Forgot about Called by. Cut you down. Also cut you down. Really don't need multiple Despias. Wondering if we even run this guy. Probably. Surely we play Verte? I guess we could. Is Swords all good in the Duelist Cup? Yeah. Literally one of the best decks you could play. Okay. What are the fusion monsters? Oh, hold on. Do I have Verte? I don't have Verte. What are the fusion monsters we got here? Can I make Chimera? In theory, yeah. So we cut out both of those. There we go. I wonder if this guy's even worth it. What are people's end boards? No, I guess this one's like really good against Splight specifically. I kind of want to get rid of Proskenion. I don't know how worth it Proskenion's gonna be. Not using the branded fusion engine? No. Playing branded in the event. My place for fun. Really bored. Predaplant drag? Wait, what? DNA surgery plus Quintet magician for super poly. Hilarious. That's a terrible idea. I should play Plasma because it's funny. I should dismantle Plasma. That's what I should do. Let's call this one... Sure. Yep. There you go. This looks like a chaotic list. I love it. Welcome to Shadal. Welcome to 60 card lists in general. Let's do the Alu card because it's funny. Not that one. Cool. Allure. Allure's not really all that good. We have a lot of non dark monsters. Oh, yikes. Yep, figured. That's a Keldo. At least one Keldo. No. I always skip the ones that look bad because I'm like, it'll probably give me something better if I don't actually look at them. Ugh. Mudora, okay. Am I gonna play Duelist Cup or Ranked? Maybe. I don't know, my voice is kinda hurting. Unlucky. Didn't get a UI. Depressing. How many gems does it take to make a Despia attack? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. Agito. Not our first one. Nice. The G Golem. Sick. Can't even pull the all boss cards anymore. True. When will there be an AI that can make up Yu-Gi-Oh deck lists? There literally are. I have no idea what G-Golems are supposed to do. Me neither. No, Ranked and Duelist Cup don't affect each other at all. Oh, Rainbow Dragon, nice. Can I get an Ishizu card instead? That'd be crazy. Nope. G-Golem. Sick. At least it's cheaper than Sword Soul. Is Sword Soul that expensive? I guess. It's kind of expensive. Especially now that you can't pull for the cards. Would you put ABC Therion on the tier list? Don't. No, ABC Therion's really good. The reason ABC Therion is really good is due to Ancient Fairy Dragon. Ancient Fairy Dragon gives you access to like a very weird variant of the deck that just does like just generates insane advantage. So, alright, we'll open 10 more. Does 3 URs equal 1 Ishizu? Exactly. That's why we're opening this set. Because I want to get the Ishizu cards and crafting material for the Ishizu stuff. I know this set is bad, but there's not something else that I would rather pull. The AI bots aren't complete. Yeah. They try to put extra deck monsters in the main. Yeah. Well, some of like the more generic ones at the moment, yeah. But hold on, I'll show you. I'll show you what you can do. Ishizu is so broken? No. It's good. And it will be broken with Vernisylphs and the like. But at the moment, it's... Nah, it's fine. It didn't really break anything. I spent more gems from packs on Sword Soul than branded? Well, okay. That doesn't necessarily make it more expensive. How about more alt art card packs instead? I'd rather be able to craft the alt arts, but yeah, sure, that'd be fine. Oh, you mean, like, dig into the alt art stuff. Nah, don't really care. Don't really care. Don't really need any of the alt arts. I already have the one Eldritch that I wanted. I found an Ishizu Runic Sprite. Can't move at all. Fun Ishizu Runic Sprite. Happens. Two G-Golems. Optimal branded Despia is still expensive. Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, I think Sword Soul is like significantly less expensive. Okay. Let's dismantle. What are we dismantling? That one, that one, that one. Do I really need 2 of this? No. Am I gonna use 2 of it? Yes. I'm gonna keep this one. Do I need to? No. Am I gonna? Yes. Macho Mac! Four. I have 4 of them. Sick. Do 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 do. Not bad. 9. It's not terrible. Okay, how good is this deck list? Pretty ass, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I don't really have all that many normal summons. Oh, I don't have Armageddonite. I don't know how to spell. Nope, not that one. Can I? Ugh. I was like, oh, maybe he'll come off the ban. He ain't coming off the ban list. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that. Oh, you know what I should actually be playing? Probably instead of, like, you and you. So I should be playing some rank 4s. Like a Beast Dweller. And Rongo Bongo. No, I'm just kidding. Guska. There you go. Name a more iconic duo. Snow and literally anything else. I rarely play Snows. Or Shaddolls. I should play Shaddolls more often. They're hype. Alright, let's see if this terrible, no good, very bad deck does anything. Is Crystal Beast worth dueling? Or worth building? Yeah. No. They're really bad still. Ishizu is going to be so healthy for this game. Trust. Ishizu tier. It'll be good. Dugara's better than Plan B here? Nah. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. Got 8k gems and 1900 dust from when that cancer comes out. For when that cancer comes out. Sick. Yeah, I should have saved, but I didn't because I'm dumb. How do you spell Dugaris? There he is. There he is. Wasted all my crafts on Dinomorphia? Oof. So I try adding Punk to beef it up. Punk's relatively cheap, yeah. It's like a nice engine to add. Oh, sick. Shit-all fusion. Shaki Naga. This plays around stuff. Trust. We're ashing this? What? Sure. Sick. I feel like I should probably only play one branded in red. We don't really have that many branded cards. That was such a terrible play, and it worked out for them. Oh, there's like a who? Rank up. Is going into the Drytron pack worth getting into? At least to get the UR Herald. Drytron doesn't have Herald in it. The Drytron pack doesn't have it. Should probably take that one out. What should I play? What should I play? Triple tack, probably. Maybe cut out an Elshadal fusion as well. Maybe just play like Poly? Maybe? Thoughts? Prayers? Copium? I don't know. Maybe triple tack? We'll do that. I don't think running the second branded fusion is... Or, branded in red is worth it. Do I have Mathematician? No. Is Mathematician probably worth it? Yeah. It's a pretty good hand. That's a pretty good hand. Oh, wait. Hold on. I'm going first? Okay, interesting. Let's go Aliguber. Effect. Never punished. Never punished. Sure, that's fine. Yeah, we'll just pass. Well, that's probably the best draw that I could have had. Holy shit. La cucaracha, la cucaracha. Da 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 da. La cucaracha, la cucaracha. Dee 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 dee. Okay, now we'll just go set pass. Ha! Not even gonna attack. Mm-hmm. Regeki. Yeah, that's fine. Let's grab ourselves a Squamata. This event is just a surrender fest until level 15, probably. Triple tag. Draw 2. We'll go Cockroach here. Regeki the Oliver. He's menacing. Turns out they had triple tack. End phase? Sure. I'd say okay. Oh, sick at Kelbeck. Well, that's rather interesting. Yeah. Shaddoll Fusion. Ah, no Ash. No Ash. Sad day. Construct. Let's go Construct 1. Squamata 2. They don't have Ash, so... They probably have Imperm. Or Called By. It might be Called By. You must be playing Hand Trap Turbo at this rate. Ah, it's Sky Strikers. Do you have enough spells engraved? No. Okay, so it's just a negate. Good to know. Let's send a... I probably want to send Aerial. Banish all 3 of the spells. Honestly, yeah, probably. Because Schism doesn't really do anything in this instance if we send it. Because then Wendy to set, like, Beast, which kind of gives us setup. No, I think we're sending... Oh, okay, well, I misclicked. Alright, that's fine. We'll go like this. We'll special summon Beast. I can normal summon the Kelbeck. Link off for Verte. Which then gets me back to Shaddoll Fusion. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, I think I could have done that much better. That's okay. Engage. Alright. Sky Striker, ladies and gentlemen. Beastie Boy. Sicko Mode. Battle. Do I think Maxi will get banned one day in Master Duel? Not anytime soon, but yeah, probably. When it inevitably becomes, like, the game-winning card every time? Yeah, probably. Oh, Imano Awado, what the fuck? What the hell are we playing? That was a duel of all time that happened in Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay. Just pass. Just pass, Forehead. Don't play the game. Don't play. Why would we play? Why would we ever play the game? Why would we play? I don't see Maxi getting banned anytime soon, but inevitably there will be a time where it's like, yeah, you just kind of have to ban this card. It's too powerful, etc., etc. It's actually a pretty decent hand. It's not crazy, but it's decent. Let's add Theater. Do we have Droll? We have something. It's Ghost Ogre. Okay. Hilarious. Which text would be good for this Duelist Cup? Good question. No idea. So we know what that set card is. I could just make Baguska here. Oh, I can make Dugaris, actually. I could skip my next draw phase and draw 2 and discard 1. That's probably the play, actually. Alright, we're gonna normal summon this guy. Yeah, we'll draw 2. Exosister should be good. Should be, in theory. That's frustrating. I could snow, but I don't think I care. Yeah, that's fine. Sure. Wow, they drew Effect Veiler. That's hilarious. They have Mudora, and they drew Effect Veiler. Because this is the set, Rocket Recharger, I would imagine. But now we have a fire, which kind of sucks. Sure. Oh, it's not... They didn't go Recharger. They went Mudora. Interesting. Sure. This is 60-card Dragon Link. It's a good deck. What do you mean? Stall Fusion. That kind of sucks. They drew something else activatable. The people you're playing against? This guy just happened to break. But yeah, not exactly the greatest. Well, that'll do it. How comes Rocket Tracer? Sure. Flip up the Rocket Recharger. Do it. I dare you. There he is. I think we go Super Poly here, 100%. Yeah. Alright, Super Poly. Pitch the Keldo. And we make the Starving Venom with these two. Callback. They have a Kelbeck. Sick. I have a Tragedy. Let's go. Let's get Millen. Yeah. I also have Mudora. That's crazy. Let's add the Alagoober to hand first. Oh, they milled a Chaos Space. They don't really have any... Oh, they did also mill Snow. I do have Shufflers, though. I have both Shufflers as well. That's crazy. We're gonna go Fairy Tail Snow. I'm gonna force them to basically banish everything here. With both Shufflers. Yeah, let's go Mudora here. We're gonna target their Snow, their Chaos Space, and their Tracer. I wonder what that card in hand is. They let that resolve? Interesting. It's funny watching Master Duel players not have any idea how these cards work. Like, I genuinely don't believe that these cards are all that powerful. At least right now. But when people don't know how to play against them, I guess they are. When people just don't care. Jeez, I'm crow. These people are silly. Why didn't I use snow, or why didn't they use snow? I don't know. I didn't use snow because I didn't need to. There's no point for me doing that. For them, I have no idea. Wow, this hand's really good. Cockroach and standby. That's actually very smart. Why didn't he use the snow again? I don't know. Don't know. Couldn't tell you. Sicko mode. Yeah! Alright, let's go. Hedgehog 1. Wendy 2. Is there a point to activating Ariel here? Do I have like a tragedy engrave? No. Okay, so there's no real point in doing that. Then we'll go Agito. What the hell? Okay, good to know. We'll summon the beast. We will add to hand the Squamata. We'll go Falco. I milled one of their Exodia pieces, which is funny. I could tribute some of the Dramaturg. Hilarious. Fuck it. Set the third. 3 set cards. What are you gonna do? Ban frogs? What did the frogs ever do to you? What have the frogs done to you? Chicken game, sure. Did Exodia just lose? Probably. But it's probably Crooked Cook, given the fact that it's base Unifull Princess. It's probably Crooked Cook version. No, because they're playing chicken game. Unless they're very bad. They might be bad. Who knows? Is it bad that I hope that they ban Fountain after this Duelist Cup? Yeah. Yeah, it is. La cucaracha, la cucaracha. Buzzsaw Schwark. Sure. That's a good one. That's a good draw. Does he know? Chat, does he? Is he aware? Does he know? Oh, that's a crazy draw. Whoa. I don't think he knows. They banned Toad. They banned Toad just because of Sprite? Yeah. Do you have a way to deal with this? Ah, there we go. Detach material. Yeah, detach material. Yep, There you go. That's how you do it. Good night, Phoenix. How you doing? Or, have a good night. Oops. I love that the Shufflers dodge called by. Me too. It's great. Just ban called by, please. Just ban called by. Toad banned, but Rongo is fine. Yep. Here's the problem with OCG mindset. They don't ban the problem, they ban the consistency to the problem. So the problem still exists, which means occasionally, certain duels, you will just not have a good time. But sometimes, very occasionally, you will have a you know, a very bad time playing against this deck and doing stupid things. Anyway, we pitch this guy. Special summon. At the kill deck. And then guess what? We're gonna go and just... Yep. I want them all gone? Why? I think the Millers in particular... okay, yeah, to be fair, all of the Ishizu cards are awful. They're not fun. They try to avoid banning URs as much as possible. No, it's that they try to hit consistency more so than they try to hit problem cards. Like, legitimately. More so than anything, that's what they tend to do in the OCG. You can actually look at the OCG and see that exact problem. Instead of hitting, like, Rongo or anything like that, like Block Dragon or stuff like that, like, Grass is still legal because it's inconsistent. Should it be? Probably not. Is it? Yeah. We're gonna go App Cologne here. The Millers make the Shuffler stronger. Yeah, I guess. Let's go Mill. And Special. If I go Mill you turn 2 before Tears are here, that is a problem for the game. Yeah. No, I agree. I'm agreeing with you. I don't think that they're overpowered though. But I think that's more so a problem with, like, just how many mill cards there happen to be. Which has always technically been an issue. I guess we'll just summon Beast, yeah. Squamata. We're gonna send the Hedgehog. Hedgehog. Add... What do I not care about? Falco. Should have gone Window there. Realistically. Yeah, I think I made a mistake. Because I was like, oh, I should go for Schism. But, yeah, I definitely should have gone Window. Because I wanted to keep the Herald and a target. Yeah, that was my bad. Foxy Tune. Sure, that's fine. It'd be interesting to see how they limit tiers when they arrive. True. Called by? Nope. No, I don't play Gravity Controller. Not in this build. Did we forget how our own cards worked? Nice. Cool. Just top deck the Goober. Just top deck the Goober. Alright. We'll flip up the Falco. Activate Flacco. Let's go Hedgehog. Hilarious. break his heart. Indeed. Indeed. Sure. Sure, that's fine. Trying to think. I could go Verte here. Grabs me access to Schism. Okay, I think the play is we go like this first and go to battle, because I'm not going to be able to deal lethal damage here. 18. They'll only be able to activate one of their punk effects. They'll never be able to activate anything else, which is nice. Okay, that scared me. Not evenly matched. Plant Verte Anaconda. Activate the Avalon. Okay. We will add the Schism. Discard that one. Let's go Tragedy. Set this. Activate. Activate Anaconda. Let's pay 2k. We're gonna send the... Yeah, we'll send Shadal Fusion, I guess. I guess it would have been better to send the El Shadal Fusion, but that's okay. We'll go Winda with the Hedgehog and the Alibur, I guess. Go Hedgehog. I don't know what I have. Okay. We'll add, I guess Wendy, sorry. Okay. No Masquerade. I can't make Masquerade. I have to summon a Shadal there, and this is a hard once per. Regeki? Yeah, that's fine. Do they know that Winda doesn't die here? And they're just giving me a free draw? I don't think they did. I don't think they knew that. Or, maybe they did. Maybe they did. And it's triple tack that they have. No, they didn't. They had no idea. I love that. Regeki? Sure, yeah. Why Winda no die? Why game bug? Hedgehog is always the Shadal monster where it mix up the flip and scent by card effect. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Honestly, this deck's not great. We played against some pretty bad decks. But it does more than I expected. Like, it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. I like the triple tack. I like the Herald. Oh, good. Oh, excuse me. I think I'm gonna call it quits there. I'm feeling sick, so I don't want to, like, push myself too much and then not be able to stream on following days. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy it. If you did, like it's very much appreciated. And if you want to see more content like this as well as more Yu-Gi-Oh, then just be sure to subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and remember to always stay frosty. Bye bye.